now that we've talked about the test itself, let's look at a way in which we can prepare for the SAT as a whole. Well, first thing you need to know is there are some basic skills which you're going to have to brush up on. For example, remember all those math formulas from junior high and the beginning of high school? Areas of squares, areas of circles, Pythagorean theorem? Yeah, you're going to want to brush up on those basic skills. And those are all in cracking the SAT, so make sure you have those down. You need to know grammar rules, such as subject-verb agreement. And you need to learn your basic vocabulary, develop your basic vocabulary skills for the reading. The second thing you're going to want to do is take full-length practice tests, because nothing can simulate the experience of taking a 4-hour test like taking a 4-hour test. There are some full-length practice tests in cracking the SAT. You want to make sure you take advantage of them. The third thing that you need to do is develop test-taking strategies. We're about to outline a number of different techniques which you can implement and you can start to use to change the way you approach the test. Let's take a look at some.
Okay, pop quiz hotshot. What is the capital of Malawi? Any idea? Well, what if I were to give you some options? I have A, Paris, B, Milan, C, Cairo, D, Lilongwe, and E, New York City. Have a better clue? The answer is D, Lilongwe. You know that only one answer is right, but 4 answers are wrong. So they're easier to spot. Find them and eliminate them, and you're down to the correct answer. As Sherlock Holmes once said, once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must be the truth. This is called process of elimination. Get rid of as many wrong answers as possible so that you can increase your accuracy. All right, time for another pop quiz. What is the capital of Bangladesh? A, Chicago, B, Dhaka, C, London, D, Tokyo, or E, Apia? Well, I think it's safe to eliminate A, C, and D because they're fairly well-known cities and you know that they're not the capital of Bangladesh. So we're left with B and E. So are you gonna guess? Well, let's see here. What happens if you guess correctly? You're gonna get a point. What happens if you guess incorrectly? You're gonna get deducted a quarter of a point. In this case, the payoff, a point, outweighs the cost, the deduction of a quarter of a point, and absolutely, you're gonna guess. In fact, if you can eliminate even one answer, you should make a guess. Why? Well, in order to answer this question, we have to discuss the details of the guessing penalty. So for the sake of simplicity, let's say the SAT is comprised of 5 questions. Furthermore, I'm going to say you're going to make random guesses throughout these 5 questions. So given that there are 5 answer choices, what are your odds of getting the question correct? 1 in 5, right? And what are your odds of getting the question incorrect? 4 in 5. So remember, for every correct answer, you get 1 point. For every incorrect answer, you get deducted a quarter of a point. If you had 5 questions, you'd get on average 1 question correct and 4 questions incorrect. So let's see what happens. You get 1 point for that question you got right. And a quarter point deducted for each of those questions you got wrong. So that's 1 minus 4 quarters. That gives you a score of 0. As you can see, making random guesses gives you no advantage on the SAT. But it serves you no disadvantage either because you're getting the same score as if you had left all the questions blank. However, if you eliminate even one answer choice out of those 5, what are your odds of getting the question correct? 1 in 4. And what are your odds of getting it incorrect? 3 in 4. So you're up by 1 point, down by 3/4 of a point, and you're up by 1/4 of a point. Now, I know what you're saying. It's 1/4 of a point. Who cares? But remember, there's more than 5 questions on the SAT, and a lot of times you can eliminate more than just one answer choice. You improve your odds of increasing your score. Eliminate one answer, make a guess. So now we know that at times guessing can help increase your score. But do you guess on all the questions? I mean, do you need to even answer all the questions to get a good score on the SAT? Well, let's think about this. What's the average score on the SAT? Well, per section, it's about 500, give or take. Now, translate this into percent, and you have a 55%, a good solid F. Well, I'm going to take a leap here. I'm going to say you're probably a college-bound student, and you're studying for the SAT. You probably have a GPA or a grade that's a C average or higher. So that means you've gotten on an average 70%. Well, a 70%, although average in school, is actually well over a 600 on the SAT, which is well above the average scores for many colleges in this country. So although a 70% isn't very impressive in school, it's very good as an SAT score. Now, I know that most of you are aiming for as high of a score as possible, but results come in stages. So even if you're shooting for an 800, get to that 600 first. Pace yourself, slow down, and focus on the questions that you need to get that score. So which questions do you need to focus on? Well, by studying the Cracking the SAT book, you'll figure out your own personal weaknesses and strengths. So focus on your strengths. Also, you'll find that many of the sections on the SAT are ordered by level of difficulty. So for instance, on the math sections, you'll begin the first third of the section with easy questions, then go on to medium questions, and finish off with hard questions. And you'll see this to be true for many parts of the reading and writing sections as well. Now, remember that you only need to get 70% of the points to score over a 600 on each given section. So make sure you focus on your strengths and the easy and medium questions before you go on to the hardest parts of the section. Remember, slow down, know how you should pace yourself, and score more. Even though the concepts on the SAT are really easy, the way in which the questions are asked tend to be designed to trick you, to make you make careless mistakes. The designers of this test really know what they're doing. I mean, they know that a student comes in as a very predictable, common test taker. And we're going to call this average test taker Joe Bloggs. Now, Joe Bloggs is Princeton Review's way of indicating a test taker that ETS, or the makers of the test, expect. Joe Bloggs is the type of test taker that goes in and falls into every single trap that ETS sets up for him. Joe Bloggs is an average guy. He's not stupid. He's not a genius either. He scores very averagely, which is about 500. He gets about 90% of the easy questions correct, 50% of the medium questions correct, and he gets 0 to 10% of the difficult questions correct. Now, the thing that you have to know as a test taker is that there's a little bit of Joe Bloggs in every single one of us. You don't believe me? All right, let me ask you a quick question. Tell me what this word spells out. S-I-L-K. Silk, right? So let's say the word together 5 times. Silk, 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 silk. All right, now answer this question for me. What does a cow drink? You said milk, didn't you? But really, does a cow drink milk? No, they produce milk. A cow drinks water. So what the designers of this test can do is start making you think on one track and get you to answer a question incorrectly, even if you know what the correct answer is. So Joe Bloggs falls for these types of traps, and what you want to learn is how Joe Bloggs approaches a test so you can do the opposite of what he does. Joe Bloggs and the process of elimination will help you to be as accurate as possible. So let's take a look at a difficult question the chickens have been asking. Number 18. It says, in the figure above, what is the greatest number of non-overlapping regions into which the shaded region can be divided into exactly 2 straight lines? Have you seen a problem like this in high school before? Is this really even math? Well, we're here to find out. So let's go ahead and check it out. Here's one straight line. And let's see, there, right? Yeah, that works, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go, answer choice C, right? It's a number 18 question. It's supposed to be difficult. And that just took us, what, 2, 3 seconds? I know, way too easy, right? The chickens concur. So this is obviously Joe Bloggs. It cannot be correct. Also, we're looking for the greatest number of regions. So we know we can split it into four pieces already. We know that B and A are also going to be incorrect. Now we have a 50-50 chance, right? All right, let's think about Joe Bloggs at this point. Joe Bloggs thinks of the greatest number of non-overlapping regions and sees number 6, the greatest number in that list. Probably tempted to pick that, right? So without even knowing what the correct answer is, we're able to deduce down to the correct answer, which is D. For those of you that are interested, here is how you can divide this donut into 5 regions. Just move the X upwards, and if you cut it like so, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a tiny little 5 wedge right there. Now, who cares whether or not you can divide a donut into 5 regions, 4 regions, or 2 regions? Who cares? And colleges don't care either. However, on the SAT test, you do have to answer questions like these. So we're here to help you know the tricks of the trade and utilize the tactics in order to beat the SAT.
As you can see, there are some really powerful general test-taking strategies that we can use on the entire test. Let's review. First off, process of elimination. Remember, there's 4 wrong answer choices for every right answer. Get rid of whatever's wrong, and whatever's left must be right. Second of all, guessing. Even if you can't get rid of all 4 wrong answer choices, if you can get rid of 3 of them, or 2 of them, or even if you can only get rid of 1 wrong answer choice, you will improve your odds if you guess. Guessing aggressively is a great way to improve your odds. Third of all, pacing. Remember, you don't need to take on the entire test. Slow down, score more. Focus on working the questions that you're best at first and getting the easies and the mediums before you worry about the hard ones. Finally, Joe Bloggs. Remember to use what we know about our friend Joe Bloggs and what he wants to do on the hard questions. If you focus on what Joe wants to do and use that to guide your process of elimination, you'll improve your odds and you'll improve your score. So now that we've done some general test-taking strategies, let's look at some strategies for the individual parts of the test.